Right, hit it. Is it going? Okay. Hey everybody, it's Robert Dunt from ArtTop10.com, and I'm here at Graham Crowley's summer show, Silent Disco, and I'm very pleased to be talking to Matilda Bevan. Matilda, hello.
Hi, Rob.
Hi. So, this extraordinary thing here, tell me about it.
I get very inspired by looking at earlier English landscape artists, and I've honed in the last few years on the work of John Crome, who died exactly 200 years ago, 1821, Norwich painter, and he co-founded the Norwich School of East Anglian painters. And the more I look at his painting, it's very, very unassuming, but there's something in it which is very modest but very potent at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, go on. Yeah, he's one of those sort of British painters that we don't know of but should do, is he?
Yes, that's right. And luckily at the moment in Norwich there's a great bicentennial celebration of his work. Lots of paintings gathered there, drawings, prints and everything in the Norwich Castle Museum. And I went yesterday, and this is luckily on the back of the catalogue we have where I got the inspiration for that painting, and it is such a very, it seems incredibly modern to me, that painting. That, I mean, this is a transcription of his own painting, and it strikes me as a very, very modern study. There's something quite mid-20th century about it in a strange way.
Yeah. So this is a transcription of it. So have you changed it in any great deal? No, you've literally just homaged it.
I have. And also the other fascinating thing about actually visiting Norwich for the first time yesterday was to see that it's made of flint. And all the old buildings are they've got either flint walls or flint insets. And particularly at Norwich Cathedral, it's covered in tons of flint. And that must have meant a lot to him, because that was his base, that was his home. He didn't travel away from Norwich very much. And so this little painting must have spoken to him about his home.
Yeah, no, intriguing. I rather like that kind of sort of lost British paintings. They are sort of a kind of soulful kind of something to them, haven't they?
Yes, and particularly I find with his, because they're so understated. They're not being flamboyant. They're not meant to go on someone's drawing room walls, or they might be, but that doesn't seem to be his prime intention.
So what do you think he was trying to communicate in this one? Do you think he was? Is that a rock? Do you think? Or?
That is a flint.
That's
a flint. Yes, and the first painting of his that really struck me and made me pursue an interest in what he was doing was his painting of Mousehold Heath, which is a large one, and there's a couple of figures in it, and it's an empty expanse, but at the time he painted it, it had already been enclosed. The Enclosure Act had happened, and so he was painting something that he remembered, and it was a much freer place before the actual time when he painted it.
Intriguing, because it's got a really, So the one thing I'm curious about is were his brush marks like that, or have you?
No, it's entirely my own way of doing it, but I was pleased to have a really good close-up look yesterday at how he did things.
So how do you feel you're the way, because you've painted it rather beautifully with the lines going back and forth, and it's not, you can sort of see the ground underneath. Actually, the ground at the top here is slightly yellow, isn't it?
Yes, it has a yellow base. That creamy yellow base is all the way underneath. Okay. So it pokes through in different places.
And were you intending that to communicate anything, or?
Yes, I think there's a quietness in the painting, but it seems very solid to me. I titled it Settlement. That's got multiple possibilities of interpretation, but I suppose a settlement can be a place where a few people live and have settled down. But yeah.
So what was his title? Let's have a look at his again. What did he call his?
This is it's just a study of flints. It's just a study of flints, he called it.
That's quite intriguing, actually, because if we look at it, his is slightly darker and more kind of, bit more maybe not detailed there. It's actually quite a weird thing to look from yours to his.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I saw this actual painting yesterday. It is much darker, and quite small, perhaps possibly even smaller than that.
Okay.
He seemed to have this tremendous love for his city, for Norwich, and Mousehold Heath, which again is a great symbolic heathland where historic protests took place in the 14th and I think the 18th centuries. He seemed to be quietly a democratic person.
And so does work always is it always a transcription, an exact transcription of another artist's work?
It can be, and at the same time there's another whole area of my practice which is collage, abstract collage, which are really, I suppose, they're colour studies. I'm very interested in emotional values in colour.
Okay, intriguing. So it's quite interesting because my work drifts from all sorts of things to the other as well, from abstract to representational. Do you feel does it worry you that your work has quite different elements like that?
It doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry me. I just keep going.
I'm just going to go with what I fancy.
Yes. But no, I can't say what the future will hold, but I just keep going and see where it takes me.
So after this, you'd potentially just feel like doing an abstract collage?
Yes, that can happen. And also I'm inclined not to have paintings on the go at once. I'll do one, finish it, start another one. So it's quite focused in that way.
And so how did you choose this one? What was it about this one that appealed to you out of all the other ones by John Crone?
I think because it has a feeling of modernity in it. Somehow it's outside of its own time.
Yeah, it does have a feeling of modernity, especially actually the way you've done it, the way you've brightened it, makes it even more modern in a way. The thing that's really interesting is that although you say it's a sort of exact transcription, there's actually stuff you've changed quite subtly that has changed it quite significantly, potentially.
Yes, I think I have changed it. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it's one of those things. I remember doing a transcription project at City and Guilds of London Art School, but it's more interesting to actually just try to recreate the other person's one and see what happens in the process.
Yes, that's very much what was happening here. I learnt a lot.
Bombuckler.